Other pipelines carry the finished products from the refinery to the terminal and loading wharf about 3 miles away. The company's marine terminal at Ras Tanura can handle 4 tankers at once, loading them at a rate of from 10 to 12,000 barrels an hour. The average tanker can be loaded and on her way again in about 12 hours. Much of the company's present refinery output is going to the United States Navy for use in the Far East. By 1950, production of crude oil is expected to be double what it was in 1947, or even higher. To handle this huge volume, greatly expanded transportation facilities will be needed. Materials have been arriving in the Persian Gulf for the world's largest pipeline, a project of the Trans-Arabian Pipeline Company, an affiliate. The first leg, from Abqaiq to Qatif, has been completed. The Trans-Arabian pipeline route lies across 1,075 miles of desert, plains, and coastal ranges to the Mediterranean. When completed, it will carry about 300,000 barrels daily. Total Saudi Arabian crude oil and products available at sea terminals will amount to nearly 700,000 barrels daily during 1951. By that time, the investment of the company and of the Trans-Arabian Pipeline Company will have exceeded $400 million. The expanding program requires an increase of permanent personnel to a total of more than 2,500 Americans and 15,000 Arabs. Such is the story of the oil itself. But there is another story, the story of people. For all the time the oil job was being done, there was the problem of making life more livable. For in spite of heat and flies and hardship and monotony, these men had come, and they had vowed they would stay. And they set about to make good their vow. Halfway around the world, the company had brought everything from food and housing to drilling equipment. It brought in American technology and skilled craftsmanship. Men planned and worked, and cleared and dug. And slowly, painfully, they reared a modern community on the desert beside the Persian Gulf. Here in Dhahran, irrigation has wrought its magic, tapping the desert and bringing forth trees and grass and flowers. These houses and the offices are completely equipped and air-conditioned. Hot though Saudi Arabia may be in summer, it's a healthy climate, and children thrive on it. They go to school as they would in America. Just about as they would back in their own hometowns, Paul Strong and his friends visit in the cool comfort of their modern homes at Dhahran. Unmarried girls who have come to Arabia as secretaries, stenographers, and clerks find companionship and recreation in the club rooms and dormitories. Always popular with the employees is the freshwater swimming pool, where they can cool off after a round of golf or a set of tennis. In the best tradition of medicine is this modern American hospital, providing free medical and surgical care to all employees. The company retains skilled American physicians and surgeons. Desert heat is no problem to workers in this new air-conditioned office building. There's an airport only about 40 hours by air from New York, by company plane or commercial airline. "40 miles up the Arabian coast is the Ras Tanura refinery, located on a beautiful stretch of gleaming white sand. Here is another American colony, complete with air-conditioned houses, 2 hospitals, and an outdoor movie theater. Out of every $2 invested in the concession, $1 goes into housing and other service facilities necessary to take care of employees, Americans and Saudi Arabs. The company has never forgotten that it is a guest in the land of the Saudi Arabs, and that the best interests of its hosts must at all times be served. Today, more than 12,000 Arab workers are employed by the company, and their number is increasing steadily. They worship in their mosques, such as this one at Dhahran, built by the government. Until quite recently, the Arabs had little or no opportunity for recreation and sports. Now they delight in learning new games. In the producing fields, Arab workers have become skilled craftsmen and work side by side with American drillers. In fact, the company's operations have become one of the great centers for vocational and industrial training in the Middle East. In the refinery, too, Saudi Arabs who a few years ago knew only the life of the desert now skillfully operate complicated oil refining equipment. American engineers have trained their Arab co-workers well, and the Arabs have been good pupils. Workers with aptitude are quickly trained to handle laboratory routine. Every shipment of product or crude is tested. It must meet rigid specifications. The quality is controlled as carefully as in refineries in the United States. More than 200 Arabs have been with the company 10 years or longer. The wages paid by the oil company provide new purchasing power for workers and their families and a new prosperity for the region. They are paid in riyals, the currency of Saudi Arabia. These riyals are bought by the company from the Saudi Arab government, and this in turn makes available supplies of dollar exchange. In cooperation with the Saudi Arab government, the company provides schools for employees. Arab youngsters have expressed great appreciation of the educational opportunities given them and their classmates. Water was the #1 problem when the Arabs had to depend on their age-old means of transportation, the camel. In contrast with this ancient caravan, a modern motor cavalcade moves out into the desert to drill water wells along the route of the new pipeline, using trails that formerly could not be traversed in summer. Much of the desert is impassable to ordinary tires, so this special type of oversized, heat-resistant tire was developed. It defies the soft and treacherous sands. These mammoth trucks, veritable locomotives of the desert, were built especially for oil field transportation in Saudi Arabia. They will handle hitherto unheard of loads. As rapidly as possible, the company is getting rid of this type of temporary housing hastily built for the Arabs in the early stages of development and replacing it with modern, well-built quarters like these. Among the more important undertakings for the benefit of the Saudi Arabs, wholly unconnected with oil operations, is the full-scale agricultural experiment project that is underway at Al-Kharj. This irrigation canal, which the oil company helped the Saudi Arab government to build, is bringing water to an area of nearly 3,000 acres now under intensive cultivation. Arab farmers, assisted by American agriculture experts, have been taught to use modern scientific irrigation methods. They're raising alfalfa, melons, date, tomatoes, onions, and many other farm products. American technical skill and Arab industry combine to produce worthwhile crops. New agricultural centers are planned by the Saudi Arab government so that the benefits of modern methods may be spread to other localities. The king sees the oil development as the greatest single means to modernize his country and improve the living standards of his people. The Navy has said that Saudi Arabian oil is one of its most important strategic sources of supply. The men who are working for the economic recovery of Europe see Middle Eastern oil helping them in their labors, day in and day out. Because, on the one hand, it is keyed perfectly to the goal of self-support for the nations of the world. And on the other, it is making available the vast volumes of petroleum needed to fuel the job of rebuilding the war-scarred Eastern Hemisphere. To the American citizen in Boston or Jacksonville, Sioux City or Seattle, all of this has real importance in his day-to-day life. Because, at present, large volumes of oil are moving from the Western Hemisphere, mostly South America, to fill the growing needs of Europe. While other South American oil goes to the United States. Shipments to Europe from the Middle East have increased since the war ended, but are still only a small part of what can come from there. Shipping oil to Europe from the Western Hemisphere is not only uneconomic, but puts a drain on resources we may need over here. However, this situation is changing. As soon as Eastern Hemisphere facilities are ready, heavy shipments from Western Hemisphere reserves can be stopped. The Middle East can easily supply all of Europe's requirements. The oil of South America can be used for the job of industrializing our neighboring lands to the south and to supplement the supplies here in the United States. Now that the risks have been taken, now that the pioneering has been done, the way is open for other American companies to come into the Middle East and join in developing its great resources for the benefit of its people and of the world. A guiding principle in Aramco's venture has been the belief that foreign capital cannot justify its presence in any land unless it operates in the interest of that land. Fully vindicating that principle has been the mutual trust and goodwill that have grown up between the American oilmen and the Saudi Arab government. Thus, American venture capital is developing new standards of life in an ancient realm, where a people with a glorious past are now building a glowing future with their partners from the other side of the world. East and West are united in pioneering a new frontier of progress, serving the interest of the Saudi Arabs, serving the interest of the United States, and demonstrating the vitality of the American system of free enterprise. A system which, from this new frontier, is pumping into the trade of the world oil, one of the materials that is making a truly great contribution to our modern civilization.